One thing that makes Europa Universalis 4 a lot more interesting is historical accuracy. And if you're into that kind of thing, then you're gonna love Voltaire's new nightmare. First thing you're gonna notice is that we don't have the entire world, we literally just have the Holy Roman Empire. I'm really saying the Holy Roman Empire. They went to such lengths that they've actually shown every single small Holy Roman Empire nation, down to the smallest of nations for that matter. If you go to the Imperial map mode, you see quickly the Emperor is actually Styria at the start. We actually have two start dates, the good old 1444 start date and the 1441 start date, which is the Peace of Cremona, signifying the end of the war between the Venetians and the Milanese. So I think it's better if we start with the regular 1444 date, which we're more accustomed to. There are some changes in the 1444 date. We're gonna start as the nation of Brandenburg, which apparently has 247 development and 68 provinces, because the level of detail in this game is insane. Imagine starting the game with 24,000 units from day one as Brandenburg in the vanilla game. That would be literally my dream right there. Suffice to say, they did do their research for this mod. First thing to come to attention is the fact that Silesia is not unified and it's not two different countries. It is in fact a ton of them. The name that takes up most of the land here is of course Bohemia, and in this mod Bohemia does have the biggest country with the highest amount of development. I mean, Prague itself is 17 dev. Most of the Bohemian lands are in fact pretty well developed. The black signifies a 3 development. Now, don't get fooled. When you look at the whole map, there's a lot of 3 development provinces. And speaking of provinces, in general, there is a ton of provinces. It's kind of unrealistic how small they went with the provinces and how messed up some of these are. But it is historical, man. What can you do, right? It is essentially how the HRE looked. It was not so much about national identity, which is what we have in our century. It was more about what noblemen ruled what part of the country, because end of the day the HRE was essentially a sort of union. Wouldn't really call it a country, to be fair. There's a few interesting features. We got the Swiss Confederacy here, which is essentially the mandate of Ming, and it is all of the various Swiss cantons here as associates. They can do a few reforms similar to the Ming reforms, with the centralization offering +1 admin points for the monarchs, and you also have some special interactions as the Swiss cantons or Swiss Confederacy, which even though they were part of the Holy Roman Empire, they kind of had their own little confederation within another confederation. It's just massive Inception level right there. We also have Burgundy, but we only have the Burgundian lands that were a part of the empire. Remember that even though in the base EU4 Burgundy is not a part of the HRE, in reality Burgundy was half a part of the HRE and half a part of France, because the way that titles worked in the Middle Ages, you could be a duke that owned certain ducal lands in France and a count owning certain lands, or a duke owning certain lands in the HRE. Another great example of this is you could be a personal union member of another nation and the vassal of another nation at the same time. So it was just massively complicated, and I'm happy that that part of our history is over and we actually have properly defined nations now. Culturally speaking, I'm impressed with the fact that they've actually made Dutch, Brabantian, Flemish its own culture group, the Lowland culture group. It also has Frisian in it. We also have the French separate, of course, and there's quite a few different types of French cultures, with Wallon Picard in the north, Lorrainian, Burgundian, Swiss in the Switzerland parts, Dauphinois and Provençal. I'm not sure what to say about Dauphinois. I'd probably call it either Arpinian or Occitan, maybe. I don't know. One thing that I do like is the fact that they've actually set up Italian in one culture group, and they included a Romansh, Latin, and Friulian in this culture group. Now, in today's age, Romansh, Latin, and Friulian are separate from the Italian culture group, but in 1444, which is roughly 600 years ago, they would have been a lot closer to the main Latin group, as they call it in EU4, that was essentially in the Italian peninsula, than they are today, because 600 years makes makes a massive difference when it comes to both linguistics and traditions. Interesting though how we have one small province here that is Tyrolean, and it's basically surrounded by a lot of various Latin cultures and all the adjacent provinces though. And another interesting cultural aspect is that Lusatian is the Germanic version of the Silesian lands, whilst Silesian is the classic Old West Slavic version. And we also have Sorbian here, which is a language that is almost extinct today. There's still Sorbian people speaking in these lands, but there's very few of them as far as I'm aware. And we have a ton of Germanic speaking areas that are a part of Bohemia. This is essentially the Sudetenland. We know of it from the Second World War. Sudeten Germans essentially being the Germans on the outskirts of Bohemia by the border with the various Germanic entities. Alright, so let's see what this mod has to offer. HRE wise, we have the classic electors, same as in 1444. A couple of them are actually voting for us, and that's Saxony and us. Actually, these guys are voting for us as well, but they're not going to vote for us for too much longer, so we can just improve relations with them a little bit. Let's see if we can get some alliances with these electors for that matter. We can get an alliance with the Saxons. That's going to be of massive help. Maybe with Trier also. We can apparently one with Trier as well. Dariago. One with Köln as well. And I'd say the Palatinate is also another great option for an alliance. We pretty much have the same missions from the base vanilla game. We don't have anything different here, so we're gonna expand based off of these missions for that matter. I really hope I can get the Newmark event to trigger in this mod. I don't know if it does have the event in the mod or not, but that would be awesome if it did. Oh god, Austria rivaled us. Okay, interesting. I'm not gonna rival them. I'm gonna rival someone that's close to me so I can actually attack them. Like Magdeburg, that's a great rival right there. Lüneburg as well as a great rival. And you know what? I like to live dangerously, so I'm gonna make Bohemia my third rival. And we do have a few cores apparently on the nation of Brandenburg. What? It's like the fake Brandenburg, guys. It's like when you buy a fake Gucci bag, right? And you find out that it's actually worth the same thing as the real thing, because Gucci and all the expensive brands are not made out of gold. It's just the brand that you're paying for, and you're a sucker if you do so. Obviously, before we attack anyone, we're gonna go for our Estaten, and we're giving out the +1 mana for all 3 estates. We also have the Teutons estate in this mod. Can give out monopoly on beer, advisor, and corruption reduction. What? That's awesome. Teutons in the court. I love this. And you can also permanently dissolve the Teutons, and it's gonna cost 3 stability, and it's gonna remove this entire estate. Very, very interesting. Grant local residence to scholar. What? We're not Sunni. What is that? Oh, snaps. Catholicism has the invite scholar interaction that Sunnis have. Okay, they did some rework on the religion here. Very interesting. The papacy looks the same though, so weird. And I didn't see any schools that can be invited here. So maybe this is a feature that they're gonna add later, maybe? I don't know. Let's get a little bit of prestige also. And holy snaps, we have 13 forts, which really cost us a lot of money right now. So we're gonna have to disband some of these forts. I also noticed that I start with a ton of autonomy, so let me lower that autonomy everywhere first. Oh, I see. The Knights Templar are actually a mercenary company. Right, okay, that makes sense. Let's make our leader a general. Of course, he's absolute trash. Oh my god. Looks like Brendan over here did not get any Aliaten, so they're completely dead ski. Let's just go and siege everything down. I also have to say that they did an amazing job with the papacy here and all of the various papal states, as they were called, because remember, papal states was, again, a union of various papal states. Kinda comes with the name, doesn't it, boys? Apparently, they're shown in the mod here as lordships. Whatever the case, all of them are basically under the papacy. Look how many various subjects the Pope has here. It's absolutely insane. Imagine having to integrate all of those boyos there. Oh, Brendan. Arrivederci, Brendan. We already have an imperial incident. The rival ecumenical council of Basel and Florence each claim to follow the true Pope. Oh, snaps. That is cool. Alright, so this is the Western Schism. This is actually a very important event in history. Options are Catholicism loses reform desire, or this one I don't know the option because there's just so many nations here. I cannot even see the outcome. I'm gonna go for the second one. Let's lose a little bit of reform desire, shall we? This is also telling me how many nations there are essentially in the HRE, and it's really a lot of them. There are 600 nations here, bro. Oh my lord. We even have the small 40 development nation of Salem, where the witch trials happened, by the way. This is true, did not make it up, and it definitely did not happen in Salem, USA. It's in Salem HRE, okay? Just roll with it. Oh, I see. So Lusatia at the start is a march of Bohemia, and there's a few other Lusatian or Sorbian countries here that are independent, which would be really hard to show in the base EU4 game, because, you know, you only have 3 provinces here. Let's see what else Bohemia has. So apparently they also have Moravia at the start as a junior partner, and a few other Silesian duchies as vassals. I'm really curious to see if there's any event that Styria has where Styria, Austria, and Tyrol actually unify, or if there isn't any. Would be cool if there was, though. Tyrol definitely played its own role in the whole Habsburg affair with its massive income from the gold mines they had. Speaking of gold mines, let's actually check the trade goods map mode. Holy schnappledoo. Wow, that is a ton of different trade goods right there. Alright, let's see. We have a lot of wines actually in the south. In the north, we have a lot of grain. Okay, is that accurate? Was there really that much farmlands? What? Hold on a second here. Right, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say hashtag doubt that most of North Germany had this much farmlands in 1444. Right, they have now the farmlands, but back then it was definitely not so much. It was a lot more woods and forests and so on. Other than that, it looks pretty accurate, especially the Alps here are basically all mountains, aren't they? But I digress. Let's go back to the goods map mode. Like I said before, there's a lot of gold in the Austrian lands, especially in Tyrol, and Salzburg also has gold over here. Gastein, Gorz, and even Donnersbach in Styria has gold. And of course, Bohemia has a ton of gold, with 3 provinces in the south here having gold, and another 3 provinces in Moravia, as well as Opava and Krno. Never heard of these nations. I trust the mod developers. But there's a ton of new goods also, such as cheese. Delicious cheese. I'm guessing there's a lot of cheese in Switzerland. Yes, sir. We got the Swiss cheese. And not only cheese, we also have silver. And my boy, there's a lot of silver going on in Bohemia, as well as, of course, you would imagine in the mountain areas of the Alps. But most importantly, and this is a Germanic favorite, we haben the beer. Yes, my boys, we got beer which lowers unrest, as beer really does in the real world, as well as fruit or produce. My bad, not fruits, it's produce. Essentially, this is vegetables and fruits, I guess, put together. And even got some honey that offers trade power plus 10%, albeit honey is not really that much around the map. It's quite rare, actually. We also have olives in the southern provinces, essentially by the Mediterranean mostly, and apparently we also have some in Burgundy. Okay, interesting. Never knew that olives grew in that area of the map. We also have amber as well in some parts of the map. Amber is basically extra tax modifier for wherever it is found, and it's quite rich. For base price at the start for amber makes it one of the most valuable ones. Oh, was happen, Brendan? If we take it out Kapitalen, yeah. Alright, fine, I'll stop making weird noises. You won, okay? You won, I'll stop making weird noises. Oh, I just noticed, actually, there's new great monuments on the map, too. We have Frauenkirche, which offers stab cost reduction and missionary strength versus heretics. Okay, interesting. In Prague, we have Charles Bridge. That is essentially the same like in vanilla, but it's not Charles Bridge in vanilla. Mal Castle, exactly same bonuses as the default vanilla. I'm guessing Brandenburg Gate. Yes, no difference there. A new one here in Holstein Tor that gives out trade steering bonus and fort defense. Not bad at all. Okay, this next one's a little bit hard to spot. In the small tiny city of Köln, we have the Köln Cathedral. No difference again. Just want to show that Köln is super small and tiny, and it's surrounded by the nation of Köln. Oh, okay, so Kölnstadt and Köln are 2 different countries, because this is essentially the archbishopric and Kölnstadt is the free city of Köln. I knew that this was happening in Bremen though, where you had Bremenstadt and also Bremen, which was again a bishopric. It does make sense, logically speaking, to have the same situation in other parts of the empire, I guess. 2 events for the price of 1. We got the Western Schism, and they win with Catholicism loses reform desire, as well as we took the city of Leitzau, which means we can fully answer everything here. We cannot take Leitzau itself because I wouldn't be able to core it, but I can take the rest of this. 20 aggressive expansion for almost nothing, man. I have a feeling that it's going to take a very long time to actually be able to do a world conquest with this mod. Even though the world's considerably smaller, essentially the HRE, it definitely is a lot of aggressive expansion involved in taking these provinces. Whoa, unlawful imperial territory gives me plus 10% aggressive expansion impact. What? Wow, that makes it even harder to expand now. Trade-wise, they also redid the entirety of the map, so there's a lot of trade nodes now. Makes sense, right? You can't just have 4 trade nodes for the entirety of the map, right? So apparently Berlin is 6.1 ducats, really not bad actually. But the big juice is in Lübeck, which is 7.4 ducats. And as you probably imagined, we got Amsterdam with 8.4 and look, Antwerpen 12.9, dude. That is insane, the amount of money in Antwerpen. That tells me that these provinces have really high development, don't they? Yes, they do. 22 dev, and most of Flanders itself is pretty high dev by default. Hold up a second, boyos. We got an event here that triggered. Swabia gains core in the Swabian region. Ceded Swabia to Vorland and Alsace to Vorland. Okay, interesting. We also became a great power. What now? Right, we're the 8th great power. Nice. Brandenburg helped us become the great power. So I guess thank you, Brendan. But yeah, we got a new nation. Vorland. Vorland's got a lot of lands everywhere in the Swabian parts. And I don't know what kind of historical role they played, but they definitely seem very important. And I like their flag as well. That's a pretty cool flag. It gives me semi-Austrian / mountain German vibes. Also kind of weird thinking of Bern as Ming, because essentially they are using Ming mechanics with the tributary and the mandate, and Bern is the Ming of the HRE here, with the other cantons being associates / tributaries of Bern. Fake news? What the hell? Trump is in the Middle Ages? Alright, you are fake news. No, I don't want to get one stab hit. I'm just gonna go for the Diplo hit. Oh boy, we got the fate of Newmark. Let's do it, boyos. Let's do it. Oh my god, I just got like 100 development. I got ridiculously buffed, yo. I got massively buffed. That means we also can do Reclaim Newmark, which means we now have claims on the entirety of Pomerania. Holy snaps, man. Brandenburg is overpowered in this mod because of the mission tree that they have, obviously. And you know what, boyos? We're starting to look like a proper centralized nation, and our name is getting bigger, and it's all about how big your name is at the end of the day. Am I right, boyos? Show of strength can be done as well. Nice. Oh, that means we got permanent claims on Lower Saxony. Oh, my Schnitzeldorf. That claims on half of the HRE already. Dude, seriously, this is actually a lot of claims. It's a little bit overpowered, not gonna lie. I think the best approach if playing with this mod is, and if you're playing as Brandenburg, is to take out Pomerania and the Teutonic lands before going into the rest of the Germanic lands, because this way it's easier and less aggressive expansion if we kill off the entirety of the Pomeranian culture group, as well as the Kashubian and Prussian group, since it's gonna be less aggressive expansion with everybody else in that case. Well, at least everybody else who's not Pomeranian, Kashubian, and Prussian, but since they're gonna be long gone, nobody else gonna be given a schnitzel, will they, boys? I also noticed that they've changed the Splendor rewards here, so we got all power cost minus 10% for Brandenburg. That is massive. I mean, seriously massive. And it kind of makes Brandenburg a super good nation for playing Toll. 50% diplo annexation cost for the Papal States. Liberty to subjects for Burgundy and Venetian bonuses. Okay, I have to see Burgundy. How many vassals do you have? They got 4 of them. Not that many. But the annexation cost reduction for the Papal States makes sense, since as I showed you guys earlier, they have a lot of vassals, and annexing them faster is really vital. Oh lord, Florence is gonna be committing full annexation here. The political intricacies of this period are just amazing. Look at this. We have the nation of Orange, or whatever you want to call it, and they're a junior member of Arlay, and Arlay is a 3-province minor nation here, or actually they have 6 provinces in this area. They're not a junior partner of Burgundy. They're their own separate thing, but they are a Burgundian nation. So just goes to show that showing a complete and 100% accurate depiction of the HRE in the base EU4 game is close to impossible when you have so many small little jewels of nation, these such as Gedern over here as well, and a lot of other ones. This mod definitely gives out a completely different experience of the game, and it's quite interesting and fun to play. So if you guys want to check it out for yourself, I recommend you do it. You'll have a link to the mod in the description. And remember, if we get 10,000 likes on the video, we'll be covering mayo and taxes. And check out this awesome video until the next time. And I want to give a very big thank you to all of my channel members, Patreon members, as well as my Twitch supporters. I really wouldn't be able to do this without all of your support.